Some people believe that the soul of a person leaves the body after death. On July 29, 2014, a hospital CCTV camera captured this process live, and needless to say, it was extremely spooky. In the video, a corpse is laid on a bed in a room, and all of a sudden, the ghost of that person is clearly seen, coming out of the body and floating out the door. It is an incredibly hard thing to imagine, but this camera captured it and the footage was uploaded. This man's home welcomed the creepiest things deep into the night. When he ran out to see it, it was too late. Late, in the middle of the night, the homeowner hears a weird sound. He gets out of bed. There's a blackout. He uses a flashlight and walks down the stairs slowly. A creaky, scratching sound keeps ringing in the house. He's scared and stumbles down the stairs. He flashes the light in the living room. It's empty, but the sound is there. He sees two small objects with four legs like a stool. Their legs move, making the creaking sound. They keep moving, scaring the man more. Trying to be courageous, he runs to the stools and kicks it. Some people believe that the soul of a person leaves the body after death. On July 29, 2014, a hospital CCTV camera captured this process live, and needless to say, it was extremely spooky, entering the chest of one of the sleepers. In the video, a corpse is laid on a bed in a room, and all of a sudden, the ghost of that person is clearly seen, coming out of the body and floating out the door. It is an incredibly hard thing to imagine, but this camera captured it and the footage was uploaded. That entered and exited was the person's spirit, going and returning. A truck driver had repeatedly heard his co-workers talking about seeing a ghostly figure stand. This sighting might be the creepiest of all. Some men came face to face with an entity they could not imagine. It's late at night, and these men are heading home. They notice something following them. They stop, looking at an abandoned home surrounded by shrubs. As they watch the house, something animalistic with glowing eyes shows itself at the top of the house. The man backs away from the house. The man wonders if it's a skinwalker. The creature is not afraid. It climbs up to the ledge of the roof, lightning fast, watching the men. They go closer to investigate. As they leave the house, the skinwalker appears again at the top of the building. They decide to run. One night, a security guard was recorded interacting with someone, perhaps something that is invisible to the rest of us. A voice came from his walkie-talkie, asking who he was talking to, and according to him, he was talking to a lady he saw, whose name was Miss Abigail.
Who is he talking to? Dispatch to 329? Yes, sir. Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to a lady. I saw her walk by the store. She said she's looking for Mr. Her name is Abigail.
The The lady on the other end expressed surprise as she told the guard that Miss Abigail had passed 2 years before. The guard asked if she couldn't see the person in front of him, and the lady replied, telling him there was no one there. The guard hastily backed away in panic.
Are you sure you're saying Miss Abigail? Like, she's been passed on for 2 years now.
Oh, yeah, without me? You mean you can't see the person I'm talking to?
No, there's nobody in front of you. At all.
A mother and her infant were just resting, but something creepy had to join them. This is a lovely scene. The mother is in bed, scrolling through her phone while the baby is in his crib, sleeping. This should not be a cause for alarm, yet something is lurking nearby. The woman scratches his head, her attention still on her phone. The cover on her, which spills over on the bed, begins to move on its own mysteriously. Something is trying to get into bed with her. She rises in shock. She runs out of bed, then carries her baby and leaves the room. She and her baby shouldn't be in the room. This video, taken from a security camera, was uploaded, and in it, we can see a night guard waving to someone. Apparently, he saw someone that the camera couldn't see. He even goes to open the door for the supposed lady that he sees.
Alvarez uploaded a video taken from a security camera where a man can be seen waving to someone in the dark. He sees someone we can't see.
While waiting for the elevator, he chats with the lady, and then the shocking thing happens. He is told via his walkie-talkie that he's the only one on the floor. Coming to this sudden and extremely unpleasant realization, the man takes to his heels, fleeing the building in panic. As to who he was talking to, well, it's safe to say it wasn't human. This household had something living with them. This footage proved it in the creepiest way possible. In this house, popularly known as Jay's household, the security camera captures a chair in the house mysteriously moving on its own. It's almost as if something is sitting on it, moving it to face the camera recording it. The chair stops moving for a few seconds and then continues moving, almost making a 360. The chair stops fully when it's facing the door. Whatever is in the chair might be approaching the door. Behind the door is the household. This clip was said to have been filmed at an abandoned house somewhere in Japan, where an urban explorer gets more than he thought he would as he faces an unexpected guest. The footage shows some not-so-clear shots of the
footage begins with blurry shots of the exterior of the creepy abandoned property. Viewers aren't able to make out much other than the dense foliage and dim shadows lit only by the light of the camera.
A few seconds into the video, something unusual begins to happen. An eerie hand is seen gripping the corner of the house as it appears in ghost movies. Only this one is moving like something out of the Resident Evil movie. Only the hand is visible. The rest of the mysterious entity is hidden on the other side of the building. No one knows what it is. Before the explorer can investigate further, it disappears just as quickly as it arrived. As the explorer examines every corner of the messy interior of the building, the camera pans across an open doorway. However, the explorer doesn't seem to notice the ghostly face peering back at them. Only the profile of the mysterious figure is visible, with most of its features obscured by long, dark hair hanging over its face. The entity ducks back into the doorway when the light from the camera finds it.
As they examine every corner of the messy interior, the camera pans across an open doorway. However, the explorer doesn't seem to notice the ghostly face peering back at them.
This sighting occurred in a place you'd not expect. How things panned was chilling. The librarian was arranging books on the shelf but left to take care of other things. The book rack is alone. Weirdly, the rack begins to roll down to the other end of the shelf, as if pushed slowly by something invisible to the camera. It stops at the end of the shelf. It looks as if it isn't going to move again. Then things get creepier. A book flies out of the bookshelf like it is pushed out by a strange force. It fails to fall into the rack, falling to the ground. YouTuber Connor Does Adventure is no stranger to scary urban explorations. However, when he and his friends decided to visit an old abandoned tunnel, they encountered something they'll certainly never forget. Having explored these same tunnels before, the group wasn't expecting anything too strange or scary to interrupt their filming.
Yeah, we got like this way. There's like a little. This is the street view. This is the street view right here. What?
At first, the areas of the dark tunnel lit up only by their flashlights turn out to be nothing more interesting than graffiti and the occasional piece of litter. However, a few minutes into the exploration, things take a turn when they hear a noise that sounds like someone jumping down into the tunnel behind them. They zoom in on the area and manage to capture a shot of a chilling figure peering back at them. The group runs from the tunnel in terror.
What? Go, go, go! Go now!
Unfortunately, it seems that they ran in the opposite direction to the exit, and they can only leave by heading back into the tunnel. Almost immediately, they begin hearing strange cries coming from the darkness. Soon after, the figure approaches. In the light, we can see a pale humanoid creature walking slowly toward them. Again, the boys run in terror, eventually making it safely to the exit. The school administration never imagined what they'd see on the security footage after seeing the damage to the school. This footage is from a school on the south side of Cork City. It's been rumored that it's haunted. Soft sounds sounding like feet hitting the floor ring out intermittently. Down the hallway, a flash of light appears with the sound of running. Then the light flashes again, and a door slams close. One of the shelves mysteriously moves back and forth like a force is pushing and pulling it. It stops. The little poster on the ground flies off the ground, landing back loudly on the ground. YouTuber Hype Mike decided to check out an abandoned factory one afternoon and film his experience for his followers to watch. Little did he know, he was not alone in the creepy building. He approaches the huge structure and enters through a doorway that seems to have been violently kicked in. He walks around the building, recording the usual graffiti and litter that most urban explorers find at abandoned sites. Further into the exploration, he begins hearing strange noises.
So, I mean, this place has definitely seen better days, right?
This seems to suggest that the building may not be as abandoned as he first thought. Despite the terrifying sounds, he continues his exploration. He comes across other unusual things, like a dead bird and burnt spots all over the walls. The noises seem to follow him, eventually getting louder. As the sun sets, things seem to return to normal. That is, until something truly terrifying happens. A shirtless man in a mask jumps out from behind a door. He emits strange guttural cries and waves his arm as he chases the explorer from the property.
Yo!
Something just moved in there. Hello? I don't think I've actually been in this room.
This creepy footage would have you clutching your Bibles. What appeared in this home is the weirdest thing ever. The family has gone in for the night and is asleep. The security camera records a high-pitched bird-like laugh from somewhere close to the house. A figure appears in the compound out of nowhere. It's fully clad in white with a long broom in its hand. The figure rises and goes around its circle with its broom. The figure looks at the house, dancing to invisible music. Birds and dogs cry out loudly. The figure sets the broom to the ground. It makes a back and forth motion on the broom. It waves it to the house. It continues. This next clip shows incredibly eerie footage of a baby and his crib. Usually that is a cute sight to behold, except this one is not cute at all. In fact, it's very creepy to say the least.
Is this toddler possessed? Listen to his plaintive wail as he balances himself on his crib. And those eyes, they're glowing. Imagine the surprise little Connor Booth's parents felt when they...
The problem is that this baby is doing something that should not be possible for a baby to do. Even an adult will have a hard time doing it. The footage shows the baby balancing steadily on his crib with his arms stretched out. In the video, you can see his eyes glowing like two torches. It's clearly not a normal situation. Then, all of a sudden, he falls back on the mattress, pushed off by an invisible force.
First he climbs up the side of his crib, then does the impossible, steadying himself on the top rail for a remarkable 22 seconds before falling backwards onto the mattress.
This family thought they could safely talk about some issues in their home. They tried, but what happened was chilling.
Did you like the bicycle and stuff you got for your birthday?
Oh my God, Tommy, it's gonna start again. Oh, I'm gonna take it over.
I don't know what's gonna happen. Come on.
The family is gathered by the dining table in the kitchen. The man is talking about someone's birthday when the tap comes on. The woman recording expresses her distress at what's happening. He turns off the tap and embraces his daughter.
Damn! Oh God!
What the hell is going on? Go to the front room. Go to the front room. Let's go.
Oh God! Oh my God!
The woman wants them to leave the house, knowing it's not safe. As she's speaking, the cupboards open, spilling out cutlery and other metal kitchenware. The girl screams. The cupboard drawers come in and out before falling out. The spirit in the house is throwing a tantrum. This child's mother posted a video, and she doesn't know what to make of it. She was in the same room as her son when, out of nowhere, he began to cry. It wasn't until watching the footage that she was left disturbed.
The child's mother had posted the following video, as she doesn't know what to make of it. She was in the same room as her son, when out of nowhere, he began to cry. It wasn't until watching the footage that she was left disturbed.
In the video, we see that the child all of a sudden disappears from the camera's view. It appears that he was forcefully pushed over. The question, though, is who or what exactly pushed him over? The cradle in the back continues to swing as the child vanishes from the frame, suggesting that this wasn't a glitch. If it was, then the swing would have skipped a frame just like the child had. But, as you can see, not a single frame is skipped.
The child, all of a sudden, disappears from the camera's view. It appears that he was pushed over forcefully. The question is, though, what exactly had pushed him over?
Workers in a warehouse could not believe what they saw with the sun still out and kept puzzling over it. In broad daylight in this South African warehouse, an apparition runs from one shelf to another so quickly it's a blur. The apparition can't be made out, and no one would have seen it if not for the security camera. The clip is slowed down to try and make out the ghost. From the clip, the ghost is a diminutive figure running to hide. Before it gets to the next shelf, it disappears. This creepy appearance is hard to explain. This next clip is something that, as a parent, you wouldn't want to happen to your child no matter what. This lively baby was playing as any child would. Then he moved forward, as if to take a closer look at something. All of a sudden, he fell back on his back hard, the same way a person would fall after being pushed. If he'd fallen on his butt, it might not have drawn attention. But falling uncontrollably in his back is a different matter entirely. There have been guesses, and the most dominating are those of ghosts. When everyone is out of school, do you know what happens? This footage shows a creepy occurrence that'd scare you from school. In the hallway of this school late at night, something huge and terrifying jumps or falls, making a horrifying smacking sound. This occurrence causes the camera to shake. A while later, a chair mysteriously levitates from another chair. The levitating chair drags its back on the wall. It hangs there and then falls back on the other chair. A bag on one of the shelves flies to the ground. Nothing else moves. Abruptly, a poster on the wall seemingly yanks itself off the wall, falling. Something strange is about to happen in this relatively calm place. The place looks all peaceful and serene under the night sky, and no one in the world would think anything is unusual. Then a white cat walks into the range of the surveillance camera. The cat comes to a stop, facing away from the building. Then something that leaves question marks happens. The cat looks back at the building, then takes about 2 steps forward and immediately disappears into thin air, just like that, as if it were never there to start with. The mother had tried to protect her child as best as she could, but she seemingly forgot something important. This would prove fatal.
I think the ghost is back.
The young boy is on his phone when the vacuum cleaner suddenly starts flying back and forth by his bed. He rolls off his bed, calling for his mom. The object falls to the ground, but the boy stays in the room, trapped.
No, my God, no!
The mother runs into the room and takes her son out of the room. She keeps saying, "Oh my God." Her reaction shows that this has been occurring regularly now. She needs to find the cause of these mysterious activities in her house. In a building that looked more like a school or maybe an office, a CCTV camera captured a creepier than creepy sight. In the video, you can see some lockers and what looks like a sign used by janitors standing in front of 2 doors. The place is silent, as everything seems still. Then a sudden banging sound rang out. If anyone had been there, they probably would have been scared. But that's not all. One of the lockers eerily began to shake as if someone were rocking it back and forth. Another locker suddenly opened, and books and papers flew out on their own. Silence regained, and except for the papers on the floor, there was no sign that anything happened at all. But just when it seemed to be over, the lonely sign standing in front of the doors suddenly flew backwards and fell as if someone kicked it. If this isn't the activity of ghosts, then what on earth are they? She just wanted to sleep, but her sleep took a wild turn as something creepy showed itself. After a long day, the woman enters her room. She sets her phone on the drawer and goes to bed. Soon, she's asleep. The door to her closet creaks open. The door opens fully and a ghost walks out of it. Its shadow fills the wall. Strangely, it pulls the cover off the woman and the bed. The bedsheet is now on the floor, but the woman is still blissfully sleeping. The ghost pulls her by her legs off the bed. She wakes up as it pulls her into the closet. She screams as the door closes on her. A man named Casey posted this video. If you watch closely, what appears to be a misty line moves towards a truck, but when a neighbor's car's headlights approach, the image moves back across the yard and seems to take the form of a person. According to Casey, he went outside to see what was going on and he didn't see anybody out there. There wasn't anyone around walking down the street, so he went back inside and looked at the footage again.
I went outside to see what was going on and I didn't see anybody out there. There wasn't anyone around walking down the street, so I went back inside and looked at the footage again and I was like, wow, check that out. I wonder what I got on camera.
This clip was filmed by a lady in Scotland. She noticed something going on among the trees, and if you look closely at the trees to the left, you'll notice paranormal activities going on there. The video shows more than one human apparition. They can be seen moving their limbs, and there is one almost as big as the entire tree. While there's no way to confirm the genuineness of the video, it can hardly be debunked either. Few can communicate with ghosts, but this man tried, and you'd be shocked by its response. The man is alone in his home at night. He hears strange loud noises coming from his kitchen. He goes to check it, finding the drawers open and a glass cup falling to the ground. Picking it up, he finds it unbroken and thanks the invisible being who did it.
Right, crazy noises coming from the cutlery drawer. Oh. Right, okay, well, that was a glass.
He requests that the entity do something that can be captured on camera. It seems to listen to him, and it levitates the cover of a pot, flipping it over. For certain, he knows that an invisible being is in his home.
Come on, do something, please.
The wars that happened at Gettysburg were pretty interesting, but hell for the soldiers who fought the wars. This footage shows really terrifying things on the fields. At first, the place is calm, and at first glance, it doesn't seem like anything is going to happen. But then, if you look closely at the tree to the left, you'll see a human apparition crouching behind it. Then, as if the field had become a leisure park for ghosts, one could clearly see many more human apparitions coming out of the trees, as if waking from their slumber. They all start to move around. While some people think it could be a camera glitch, others think it's the most authentic video they've seen about ghosts. This bizarre sighting happened in front of a cathedral. What's troubling is how things panned out. Several men in comical theatrical suits mysteriously stand on thin, flexible rods that sway back and forth with them. They don't fall off, rather, it's as if an invisible force is keeping them afloat. In the background is a cathedral shrouded in mist, making this scene quite ominous. They keep swaying in the wind, and the people on the ground are gripped with awe. Some record this occurrence while others enter the field where these creepy beings are. A child is also there without their parents. Okay, seriously, there are some videos that, if you wake up to see them, you'll probably faint from fear, and this is one of them. This man's CCTV camera caught something weird in his sitting room. He is fast asleep on the couch, and his black cat is restless, pacing about, indicating that something is off. Then a flash of light shines and keeps moving, as if someone is playing with a flashlight. The light in the room starts flickering, and the poor cat keeps meowing, probably to wake up the being who seems to be having a great time in dreamland. The man must have been genuinely surprised or frightened when he saw the footage. This man went to the gym and had the creepiest experience of his life. This footage was filmed in 2021 as this man is alone in the gym. He does a couple of stretches to warm up for his exercise. While stretching, his back is to gym equipment, so he doesn't notice as some hanging lines start swinging automatically. Rather, it's as if something is pulling them.
The year is 2021 at a gym in Asia. Regular stretching routine, just getting a workout in, when some weird things start happening.
He's done stretching and is about to start exercising. He approaches a rack and a ball rolls on the floor with nothing visible pushing it.
He's getting done stretching, about to start lifting some weights, and that medicine ball, that's when it grabs his attention. What was that?
He returns to his bag, grabs it, and leaves the gym. Suddenly, an angry force flips him on his back, yanking his legs. This CCTV footage will make you think twice before leaving your kids at home by themselves. The video shows the little kids, seemingly home alone, playing, with one of them standing between the door frame. Nothing seems out of place.
In this scary video, a couple of kids are playing and having fun until this shocking event happens. Watch this.
That is, until the girl standing between the door frames suddenly starts struggling with something. She is lifted off the floor as if someone is behind her. She tries to run, but that's naturally impossible since her legs are dangling in the air. That's not all of it. The three girls are again seen playing when one of them springs forward to grab something from her sister, lying down in the process. All of a sudden, she starts moving backwards, as if something is dragging her by her legs. But the problem is that there's no one in sight besides the 3 kids. This home had something strange living it in, and this footage found it. It's a quiet morning in the house. The man sees a cardigan on the stairs in the living room and takes it, knowing someone must have slept and left it there. He wraps the cardigan around his arm, leaving with it. Unknown to him, something is still there. Everything looks normal for a few seconds, then a ghost or something more sinister appears to be flying out of the wall. It glides away, disappearing from view. No one in the home would have known about this without the security camera. Worse still, are there more ghosts in the house? The CCTV in the house captured more than one paranormal activity. In one of the videos, the man was with his partner and their pet cat when an object on the table moved on its own from one side to another, but aside from the cat, no one noticed it. In another piece of footage, the man was with his dog and cat, watching television, when yet another paranormal movement interrupted him. There was a cup on the table with a spoon in it. The spoon suddenly moved to face the other direction. This time the man was clearly aware, and the surprise was evident on his face. All was going well and fine till he moved. Then all hell broke loose. In this man's home, he searches for something in a pile of clothes and he finds it. He places the scissors on the table, glances back for something, then picks it up with some threads. He's walking to the exit when a bucket flies off a shelf, almost hitting him. Stunned, he walks back to the table, setting the scissors and threads down. He is at a loss for what to do or how what happened occurred. He scratches his head in frustration, seeing no visible sign of what pushed the bucket. In the last footage, there was no one in the living room, unlike the last 2 times. But paranormal activities are no respecter of a person's presence or absence. Objects on the shelf suddenly fell off as if an invisible hand pushed them from behind the shelf. The man came out seconds later, wondering what happened. She wouldn't have believed what happened without this footage, as a demon manifested itself shockingly. The woman sleeps deeply, lying on her back. The duvet is off her body. Although she looks peaceful, she might be having a rough sleep. Her body moves a bit involuntarily. Her body then rises from the bed, as if something is pulling her. She fully levitates off the bed. Still, deep in sleep, the demonic entity in her home is trying to take control of her, or probably hurt her seriously. Strangely, she gently returns to the bed, her sleep not disturbed. This is troubling as there's no idea what the demon is up to. In this next clip, what this CCTV captured on the 16th of September, 2016, will really leave you shocked to the bone. A little girl is playing there, and you got to admit, it's a really cute sight. However, the cute part ends when her doll, which is sitting next to her, suddenly moves slightly backwards and seems to tilt its head sideways. However, the kid doesn't notice anything unusual and continues to be okay. On September 20th, things were about to get ugly as the little girl was seen again, seemingly doing her homework. Suddenly, the papers to her left moved as if thrown down by a hand. The girl immediately took to her heels. She then walked back again, perhaps to confirm what she just saw, but that was a mistake on her part as the papers began to flutter like crazy before falling to the ground. Things fell off the table, and before long, the table itself began to move on its own. Yep, there are ghosts, all right. How would you react if you woke up to a ghost staring at you? Definitely not good. A man from Argentina woke up one morning to an unusually large notification from his backyard cam. He naturally checked, and what he found can best be described as spine-chilling. There in the camera footage, he saw a figure clad from head to toe in a white robe, staring right at the camera. The worst thing is that the figure seemed to be weeping.
He looked over the footage. This ominous-looking figure dressed in long white robes can be seen, staring at him.
Was it in the air or did it follow her in? No one can tell, but what happened as she entered the elevator will disturb you. The woman is trying to get to the first floor of the building. As usual, she gets to the elevator and presses the button. The doors open and she enters, then presses the number of the floor she's heading to. The doors close and the elevator rises. Weirdly, the woman scratches her hair, swaying on her feet. She drops her purse, placing her hands on her face. Something deeply upsetting is happening to her. She stumbles out of the elevator as if drunk. She drops to the ground in the lobby. She hits her head on the ground. The guy in this video noticed some paranormal activities going on in his house, so he decided to make this video to prove it. He explains how he's the only one at home and how no one can come in through the locked doors.
Just me in the house. And I'm just gonna point at the floor there. Tighten this up. Okay, now for the skeptics, I'm gonna stay in camera.
Then he picks up a glass bowl of apples, sets it down on the floor, and moves a little bit away from it. Not even 3 seconds passes when the entire bowl begins to move. While this is inherently scary, the smile on the guy's face made his viewers believe otherwise. Ever seen a ghost on a rampage? A creepy was biding its time at an unlikely place. When the man got there, he fell into the trap. The man goes to one of the refrigerators in this shop. He opens the door and picks a soft drink. He's about to close the door, but something seemingly takes over him. He shakes violently, still gripping the door. The woman behind me sees this, scared. He lets go of the door, dropping his drink as the possession progresses. The woman runs away. He makes strange, yowling sounds as she sways and fights against the possession. He pulls on his shirt, grunting and groaning as the demon fights harder to take over his body. Well, you're about to, as this next clip shows something extraordinary. A ghost in the kitchen seems to have been made mad by something and decides to take out its anger on the things in the kitchen as objects fly everywhere. Doors to the cupboards fling open as if someone with anger issues is trying to rip them off. Plates fly out of the drawers, smashing helplessly against the floor. Everything on the dining table seems to have minds of their own as they move off the table and fall to the floor. Brace yourself for this ghastly sight. Whatever possessed the woman was too strong and too wild, causing irreparable harm to an innocent. Shockingly, this woman is crawling up the wall of this building with her bare hands and feet. She is pulling a girl single-handedly with her. The girl screams, but the woman doesn't let go of her and brutally shakes her as she climbs higher up the wall. She gets to the top of the building, far off the ground, and stops. She lifts the girl over the ground and screams, and lets out a terrified scream. The demonized woman drops the girl to fall to her death. This woman in her kitchen had an experience that she most likely never wants to have again. She was putting things together in her kitchen and was rounding up. Suddenly, the ladder behind her slid halfway down. She went towards it to lift it up, but the ladder slipped completely, staying flat on the floor. Spooked, she took some steps back, but still raised up the ladder, changing its position. Just as she was leaving the kitchen, the waste bin spun on its own and fell. The lady didn't wait another second, running out of the kitchen. Cops ran into the wrong type of person and came in contact with the supernatural.
Ma'am, put your feet in so we can close the doors.
There's something strange and worrying about this woman. The cops just arrested her after finding out she is part of a human trafficking ring. She has a weird look on her face, and despite the handcuffs, the cops are still careful around her. They ask her to enter the car and take her leg from the door so they can close it. She doesn't react.
Hey, calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Back up. Back up. Back up.
They try closing the door, and she lets out a feral growl, trying to jump at the officer. He closes the door on her face while asking her to calm down.
Get your foot back in there. Get your foot back in there. Ma'am. Ma'am, we're going to have to tase you. You're not going to like that.
I don't understand what you're telling me.
She claims not to understand what they are telling her. An officer tries pushing her into the car, but she's stronger than him. This video, a clear case of a haunted house, came up on October 17th, 2012. The man behind the camera has probably encountered strange things in his house more than once.
It's been doing it for about 10 minutes.
There it is again. Okay.
As he stood in front of a door behind which extremely loud noises were coming, he hesitated for some seconds before cautiously opening the door, but he didn't find anything behind it. The noise then moved to the bathroom, and the man followed, but still found nothing there. It seemed as if the noise had moved downstairs. There didn't seem to be anyone else but him in the house, yet the noise proves otherwise. What made those noises? No one knows. Light ought to be a source of security, but what if it becomes your worst nightmare? Take a look. The family is asleep this late at night. A strange light floats around the compound from the car to the building. This light or some other entity seems to be trying to find something. It doesn't find it and floats away from the house. The light doesn't appear again, but the homeowner reports that his dogs kept barking throughout the night while this occurred. Creepily, this light activated the motion sensors of the security camera. The light could be a ghost or something that can affect the physical world. This man thought his house was haunted, so he went to check out a strange sound that he heard coming from his basement. Descending the stairs, the basement was in sight, but he stopped a few steps away. His camera was pointed at the dark basement. No figure was seen, but footsteps were heard rushing towards him, causing the man to turn around and flee for dear life.
Oh my God! For some time, this homeowner has thought his house.
The woman had just opened the shop and had no idea of its history. On a fateful night, the unexpected revealed itself. This clip is from a newly opened shop in Atlanta. It's in the middle of the night and the security camera records the sound of something, maybe a beast by the sound of its breathing echoing in the shop. The TV in the shop comes on, automatically switches onto a channel, and begins to play. The voices coming from the TV add to the creepy atmosphere in the shop. A weird being is currently in the shop messing around with things there. Unlike the previous kitchen ghost, who seemed to be angry for some reason, this kitchen ghost seems to be interested in target practice. As the knives in the kitchen start moving, suddenly, the knives fly out of the container with unbelievable precision and then silence for a few seconds. The ghost seems to be tired of throwing, so it moves to the right side of the kitchen counter and the pot starts moving on its own. While no one was paying attention, a stranger or something scarier forced them to reckon its presence. It's quite late at night, and someone, a man by the look of him, walks barefooted in the backyard of the house. He slowly walks past the cars, heading to one of the other buildings around. He makes no sound. The person, probably a ghost, walks past the stairs of the house and gets to a car. The figure then seems to be in a static film and vanishes. From speculation, this might be a ghost trying to get energy from physical objects to recharge itself. An incident occurred on July 7, 2022, involving some people who sat in a hospital hallway, and it was captured by surveillance cameras. Sitting there, the people who were possibly waiting for their turn to see the doctor were minding their own business when a certain man in blue clothing ran past them as if running away from something. They paid him no mind and sat still until an empty wheelchair pushed itself towards them. The group of three promptly scattered, taking to their heels. Although the place was deserted, a creepy being had to make itself known. It's been a long day and everyone has gone home, leaving the building deserted. With no one around, something decides to show itself. It almost looks like a speck of dust catching the light. It just appears, floating. The speck of light flies into a corridor, leaving the camera frame. The workers would not have known of this, but when going over the security footage the following day, they saw this. Speculations are flying around about what it might be. On May 8, 2014, CCTV cameras captured footage of a creepy occurrence in a garage. In the video, we see a motorcycle standing quietly in a corner, and just then, the extraordinary happens. The bike, which clearly has no one on it near it, suddenly moves slightly forward and backward a couple of times before falling flat on the floor. There doesn't seem to be a logical explanation for this. And if you know, please drop it in the comments section. We want to know too. This happened in nature. Though nature can be weird, it should not be this creepy. This bug ought to be dead with its insides practically non-existent. Yet somehow, it is on its feet, walking. You might be asking, how did it turn out this way, or what did this to it? However, a better question would be, what is moving the insect? It keeps walking through the woods, its little legs failing it. Although it's moving, it doesn't have the same strength it used to have. A possible suggestion is that something is using it as a vessel to move around. The insect is a walking dead at this point. On January 16, 2018, a public CCTV camera in Barrackpore, India, captured something that would make the skins of drivers crawl. As everyone goes about their business, with many cars using the busy road, something appears that would make a driver's blood run cold. On the zebra crossing, just as the white sedan is about to make a turn, a blue bike is seen coming from the horizon and moving past the zebra crossing. The problem with this is that there was no one riding the bike. It basically rode itself across the road. The public certainly scratched their heads for a long time to come up with an answer. It's said ants can carry things 4 times their weight, but this ant defies all logic. This ant is dragging the corpse of this lizard, probably back to its colony. This raises a lot of questions. How can the ant do this? This is a creepy and rare sight. This ant might have also killed the lizard. It won't be so out of the realm of speculation as the ant already has an unnatural strength to drag the lizard. Even when a human is around recording this, the ant doesn't run away. Rather, it's determined to drag the ant back to its colony. You might be wondering now, are there more ants like this, or is this a unique occurrence? This video, captured by CCTV, shows a security guard in a hospital in Argentina having a conversation with an invisible patient. The video was uploaded, leaving people in confusion. Reports are that the man was conversing with an older woman who had died a day before. In this viral video, the man was seen chatting with her and even offering her a wheelchair. The question is, what on earth happened? How was it that the man could communicate with a dead person as though she were alive? While they were partying, a creepy thing decided to bust in. It announced itself in anger. In this clubhouse built in the 1850s, some friends gather and have fun. Some of them are in the kitchen, sorting out the drinks. You can hear the chatter of other people's conversations. Everyone's attention is on what they are doing, and the fan whirls above them. A guy in a suit walks by. The guy passes, and everything looks normal. Suddenly, on the shelf in the kitchen with 2 metal cups, their covers fly off of them, falling into the sink. The sound catches their attention, and some people come to check. In this video, You can see a man on a bike leaning forward but looking back. But this man is not our focus at all, as there's nothing unusual about him. If you look to the right side of the road, you'll see a bike calmly approaching. While some people may not pay attention to a bike moving on the road at night, the same cannot be said for a camera, which captures everything. This incoming bike is clearly without a rider, yet it was moving as though someone was riding it. Another mystery yet unexplained. This creepy museum acted as a lodestone to an ominous entity. It showed itself chillingly. At about 6 a.m. in this museum, the security camera records a normal situation. A glass shelf standing prominently in the museum houses a couple of 400-year-old human bones. A constant droning sound fills the museum and some stuff falls to the ground from one of the shelves. This spills the human bones to the ground. What caused it doesn't appear on camera. Nothing else happens and the entity that broke the shelf doesn't show itself. It's still roaming the museum. According to available information, a 40-year-old cave near the museum was just open to the public, which might explain the haunting. Paranormal activities don't just happen in secluded or quiet places, after all. This clip takes us to Bolivia, specifically a school. The teacher is doing his thing on the whiteboard, and the material he is using suddenly comes off. No one thinks anything of it, and the class continues. But then more things begin to happen. The wastebasket moves on its own, and while everyone is wondering what is going on, the table suddenly makes its own move. At this point, everyone is already prepared to bolt, and when something flies from the corner of the class, the students finally make a run for it. He was home, relaxing, but as a creepy sound got louder, he had to check it.
Okay, it's like the middle of the day. I'm the only person in the house, and
In the middle of the day, while alone at home, this man hears footsteps downstairs. This shocks him as he lives alone and has invited no one. He opens the door and looks downstairs. The sound of footsteps is louder now. The footsteps don't sound human. This doesn't stop the footsteps from growing louder as the things making them seem to want to run over to him. The man runs back from the stairs and a door close to him closes. He tries to talk to the thing and enters the room whose door just closed. He doesn't find it there. It is not particularly clear why there should be a camera in the bedroom, but in any case, this one captured something worth watching. In the video, a couple were sleeping on the bed, and it was all peaceful at first. But then, 3 banging sounds echoed in the dead of night. The lady immediately woke up and looked around. As the banging continued, she desperately tried without success to wake up her partner, but the man seemed to have left Earth's atmosphere as he didn't even stir, despite the lady's voice piercing through the blanket of silence enveloping the night. A lab worker had a hard time explaining what happened. That wasn't the end for him as things got creepier. In this distillation lab, the worker takes a bucket with a strange substance in it to a machine. He pours it into the machine and looks at something in the room. On the table, a capped bottle slides off and breaks on the ground. The man drops the bucket and goes to check on it. He leaves and calls a colleague. The colleague doesn't believe him as he explains the strange occurrence. The man is now alone and is cleaning the spill. Another bottle edges to the edge of the table, about to fall. He looks at it and pushes it back to the rest. This next clip is the very definition of a haunted house. The man heard some weird sounds coming from his bathroom, and things escalated as objects began to move on their own. Even the guitar was playing itself. His dog barked seemingly at nothing, and his light flickered on and off. Then he noticed a ghostly figure behind the door, but when he went to check, it had disappeared. The figure appears in human form and knocks before disappearing into thin air. A father and daughter were talking, but something had to add its voice to the conversation.
He's not catching ball with you? Yeah. You need someone to play ball?
The man is talking to his daughter with his headphones on. He hears a sound and turns to look at the source. He takes the headphones off one ear. The sound stops and he returns to talking to his child. The door of the refrigerator opens, and as he looks back again, he sees it closing. He takes his headphones off and walks to the fridge. The door opens violently this time. Scared, he backs away. The daughter keeps talking on the laptop as the father runs away. Another creepy animal footage that would leave you questioning all you know. What can you guess from this clip? How this fish is surviving is mind-blowing. A much larger predator fish has taken a huge bite out of it, yet it swims as if uninjured. Weirdly, there's no blood oozing from the injury. Examining it closely, the fish is having some issues swimming as it can't use its full strength. The pain leaves it gasping, but it pushes through, intent on surviving or maybe being controlled by something possessing it. A worker on the roof had no idea his ladder was going to come alive and do something creepy in front of him. The ladder is walking. That obviously sounds bonkers, but it's true as the footage shows. Maybe something is possessing the ladder or an invisible being is moving it, but it's still true that the ladder is walking. The ladder tips to the side. The ladder stops for a fraction of a second and then continues to the edge of the roof. It doesn't stop in time and falls from the roof to the ground. The person recording finally makes a surprise sound,